can't just accept that they tell you a part's going to be 3 hours. You got to call the next guy. We call another vendor, and we have vendors out there that we build relationships with. They'll call 10 people for us. And if you can't find it there, you go aftermarket or you go OEM. You see if they can get the part for you. And if they can't, then you start looking in weird corners of the world. You look in Google, you look at Ricart, I mean, you look anywhere you possibly can find. We just need to get the parts here and don't accept no as an answer.
Hello, my name is Anthony Greenhalgh. I am the Director of Marketing and Sales Operations for Rapid Recon. I'm honored to be hosting your place today. Unfortunately, Dennis McGinn, our founder and CEO, couldn't attend. And 3 times a month at your place, we visit guests at their place to engage in conversation about the auto industry. And today we are with AJ Schimmelbusch, Recon Parts Lead for Ricart Automotive, along with Jared Ricart, who is the president of Ricart Automotive out of Columbus, Ohio. Welcome, gentlemen.
Morning.
Thank you. Thank you, Anthony, for having us on.
AJ, good parts management practices are always important to retail success. Parts is near and dear to my heart. I have an extensive background in parts. I worked in a automotive dealership for 24 years, and many of those I spent in the parts industry. So I'm really excited to be hosting this segment. So talk to me a little bit about your operation there. So 700 vehicles a month. You got to be doing something a little bit unique with management for reconditioning that may be above and beyond what we would normally experience in our retail sales operations or maybe wholesale.
Sure. A lot of it for us is we're part of a huge system in place. And if we miss one part out of that system, if we delay it by any means, we have possibly the biggest potential to delay this process for these cars. So with 700 cars a month, trying to keep everything organized, keep all the parts coming, we have to have a gigantic network of people we can reach out to, aftermarket, OEM, to try to get these parts and make sure we have them here for our technicians. I mean, if we go 24 hours, we just burned up one of our 3 to 5 day turnaround, which is our goal here. So it's crucial to keep everything on time and trying to get stuff here on time.
And I'll add to it, AJ hit on a big point, which is part of the bigger process and ecosystem that is reconditioning vehicles and used car in general. You know, from the intake lot when we first check them in to the moment our technicians touch them, to the use of the parts lead to make sure that we are getting the parts there as quickly as possible. That's all part of this system, and everybody understands their role and contribution to the bigger goal is turning 700-800 cars a month in a 3 to 5 day range. So AJ is an integral part of the whole reconditioning process.
So I had the pleasure of actually coming out to Ricart Automotive, and I don't want to give too much away, Jared, but I was really amazed at the operation there. You know, when I arrived there at that operation, I expected to see gigantic buildings with hoists as far as you could see and technicians as far as you could see doing the kind of volume that you do. And I was surprised to see how well you operated. Now this was back in 2016, and things may have changed. I don't know, but how well you operated in a shop that was pretty small and got that kind of volume through there. And hats procurement, because I'll be the first to tell you that a good parts counterman can make or break a recon process. So I was real impressed with that. Anything you want to add to that before we move on?
Yeah, so our campus is about 67 acres, the main campus, but our reconditioning department, we have 10 bays that they use in the recon department and just 2 others. So I'm sorry, 4 others. So 14 bays to turn 700 units in a month. And it attributed, kudos to AJ, who's on this call, and the whole team in Recon. It's 6 days a week, 7 a.m. till 8 p.m., making sure that we don't miss a single day of operation and processes in place. And, AJ leaned on a great point there. It's an integral part of the process of us getting the vehicles through. Creativity is what It's the fundamental of how we got a 3-day work week and are able to do so many vehicles out of just 14 stalls. And every employee or every technician is on one stall, and we have AJ and his crew that basically operate their own parts department within our parts department for a recon. So it's very impressive, and kudos to the guy. It is the whole team that made it happen.
So, AJ, with doing that kind of volume in a shop like that with that many hours, I'm going to guess that you can't rely too much on outside sources. You can't be waiting for Napa or somebody to drop parts by. Talk to me about your stocking and your sourcing practices for both OEM and aftermarket.
You're 100% right on that. A lot of what we do rely on outside sources as well, but we try extremely hard to make sure that we have the parts here that we need. If we sell it more than 2 times in a month for 3 months straight, we put it on our shelf. If it's a lug nut, if it's a solenoid, we try to make sure that if these cars come in, if it's a weird part, whether it's OEM or aftermarket, we do daily stock orders to make sure that we keep that stuff on the shelf. We try to keep every rotor that we possibly can. I mean, space is limited, but the other side of that too is dealing with the vendors that we do. We really try to communicate our needs with them of what we truly need. So they will try to almost be in another arm, an extension of us. So the parts that we don't keep, they might keep extra there for us to get them here in 30 minutes versus waiting 3 hours to come from their warehouse. And that's huge for us.
So are you tracking sales history on both OE and aftermarket parts?
We do, yes. Yep.
So do you?
So we try every 6 months we try to run a refresh, especially with the aftermarket. I mean, we use Napa as our main stocker. Every 6 months we run through and try to refresh our inventory, make sure that we have what's been current, from the brake rotors, air filters. If there's something that we're missing that we've sold a few times, we bring it in. If it's been there too long, we haven't sold it, we send it back. But we always try to keep the inventory as current as possible to make sure we have what we need.
So are you adding the Napa part number to your file when that comes in to record the history?
Yep. Sure do. That way we can actually track it in CDK. Yep.
Nice. And how is Napa with returns? Are they pretty good? If you go, say you're going through about a 6-month cycle.
That's one of the biggest parts of it, man. And then we're blessed, Jared with the company he's built here, and his father and everybody else. They're willing to work with us a lot, and we try to communicate exactly what we need. And a lot of these guys are willing to work with us in that. So when we call them up and say, "Hey, man, we have a few $1,000s of returns, but we'd like to buy a few $1,000s in parts," they're okay with it. And they know that going in as we build that relationship.
Good. Very good. Jared, I've heard a rumor that you're one of the best people on the planet to build a team. Talk to me a little bit about what you look for in a characteristic or a candidate when you're looking for a parts procurement specialist.
So, when it comes to finding somebody for the parts, it has to be somebody that's relentless and scrappy, meaning they're not going to stop at the first phone call, calling out the dealer. If they don't have that part that of a manufacturer sell, we don't stop after one phone call. So they have to be relentless, and they have to follow the values. We're driven, we're sharp, we're welcoming, we're trusted, and we're one team. So as long as the behaviors fit what we're looking for, we can teach the skill. But creating the team is having a bigger purpose. The bigger purpose is we're all in this together to get the 3-day turn. And when we hit the 3-day turn, and we celebrate and we have hit the goals, we all celebrate. Not just the recon department with the technicians and the details. AJ's there. He's part of the reconditioning department. So it's all of us together. Because when we're one team, we can conquer anything. But if we're all just doing individual little silos of this is my area, that's when we run into trouble and we're never going to be successful. So creating the team is the behaviors, the relentless mindset, following the values, and the ability just to have that goal and have that greater cause that we're all shooting for, and we're going to do it together. Because locked in arms, we can accomplish anything. And if it's just me shouting from the top and saying, "Do it," that really doesn't accomplish anything. I'm with them. I'm just as invested in the three day turn as they are. So we're all going to celebrate together. We're all going to reevaluate and find ways to get better if we don't hit the 3 day turn. It's a team effort and it's wonderful. And we have amazing individuals like AJ. They make the team look great. It has nothing to do with me. I just have a lot of smart individuals that decided to work with us, and they're the team. I just try to stay out of the way.
Don't give away all of Jared's trade secrets, but anything else that you may want to add here?
No, I mean, Jared hit the nail on the head. Honestly, it's the culture. It's the way. I mean, we really focus on our side here. Rule number 5: being one team and making sure that we're being part of another team, not just focusing on our own benefit or our own success, but making sure that everybody succeeds together and building that culture to, like he said, call 15 places. And for me, I mean, you know, everybody has those go-to guys you go to. You know, maybe it's your Napa parts guy.
AJ, talk to me a little bit about your sourcing, and what I mean by that is, what do you do when you don't have a part? When things get crazy, talk to me about how you overcome that.
Well, as Jared mentioned, it's about speed. It's trying to make sure we have the part on the shelf is probably one of the biggest parts, because we can be a little bit more cost minded if we can have the part there ready to go. Now, when that part's not there, everybody has their list of people they go to: your Napa, your AutoZone, your Advanced Auto Parts. A lot of places will call one place and accept the fact that it's 3 hours. So for us, they tell us it's 3 hours. We pick up the phone, we call our next aftermarket vendor. If we know that it's going to be something quirky like a solenoid or a sprocket or something weird, then we know we need to start OEM. But we try to assess it part by part. And the biggest part, I mean, I said once before, is the relationship we build with these vendors. It's making sure that they know, hey, as soon as we call, we're going to ask you for this part. If it's not there, where can we get it from? Can you get one from another dealer? Can you get it overnighted for us? We'll pay the overnight fee. They automatically know that when we call.
And then, can I add a little bit to that too as well?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
You know, not accepting it, but making sure that every time that we're doing the parts ordering, and we are always evaluating time with making the decision. So if we have a part that we can get here and it's going to cost us $300 today, but we can get a cheaper part 3 days from now and it's going to be $100, well, we're burning up days. We're burning up the opportunity to sell that vehicle. It's a melting block of ice. So we'll pay extra, whatever gets the part here on time or as fast as possible.
You know, I just heard something awesome and it made me snicker a little bit. But what I heard is that the parts department is doing a save a deal on parts. They're going through the parts hold step and seeing how they can make this thing work. That's amazing that you have that level of dedication to get that stuff through the shop.
Every day we try to update, even in there for our salesmen and everybody, we try to update in there as well to make sure they know what's going on. So it's a open book communication for everybody.
So hats off to AJ and Jared for putting together such a wonderful team. Certainly want to thank both you gentlemen for joining us today on your place. And hopefully we can get you back soon.